Hello, Mgtow. Hello, man. Okay, so it seems like it's up and running again. Give it a few minutes. People can comment if they want, and we'll talk about what we want to talk about. It seems like I was shut down by. I was shut down by YouTube. I checked my I checked my connection. I was running at 28. I was running at 28 or something. How's my sound and everything? I was running at 28 megabytes, so it was impossible that, and the frame rate just dropped off, and it was buffering in frame rate, and I've never really had that happen before. But hey, I guess it was a touchy subject. We were talking about cuckservatism. What is cuckservatism? And we were talking about, there was a lot of things I wanted to talk about today, but I guess I'm not allowed to talk about that one, or at least not tag my video that, because YouTube will shut you down. Hello, Francis Staines. Hey, Francis Staines. Huh. Hello. Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. We were talking about what is a cuckservative. We often see the like I said, when you see the on the left, they talk about the jank and Anna, the simping that you see, and the simping that you see for the women's and everything. But we have this other side of hey guys, we have this other side of what I call cuckservatism, and that's the, we want to take away social welfare programs, and that way all the women will come to us and they'll be begging and want the zombie apocalypse to happen. So I'll be the head alpha, and all the women's will be begging, and I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think the social programs are going to break down. But there seems to be some dream. We were talking about a young man earlier that was he was doing this. He was driving here to see a couple women. He was saying, I agree with this, that we have to shut down all, and that'll force all the yeah, that was weird, Al Capone. What that never happened. I was running at over 28 megabytes. I immediately checked my connection, and it said connection's okay. And then I checked my firewall, and one of my firewalls were down. I have two firewalls, and somebody had got through one of the firewalls, and I guess what had happened there is the security shut me down. I was like, I got DOS'd. I don't know. They do things. I can't figure out how they do things, but touchy subject today. So we got two sides of two political parties they both act the same way. They're how can we please the gynocentrism? How can we please the gyno in the world? And when I look, I'm trying to figure out which one's worse. We get saturated with the alt-right, and we get saturated with that stuff, and we get saturated with the liberal left, and that's all for this, and they're all for, and both of them seem equally retarded to me. I'm somewhere in the middle of a centrist, and I think telling me that we're gonna take away all social programs, and that's why women will be driven back into the house, and they're going to have to be like just there for us, and they cook us pies and stuff. That's validation. We don't do that. That's just saying, hey, we need this validation from women that we're the he-men. You're going to do it all. And that's not really Mgtow either. So we got the conservative right, and we have the libtard left, and they're both equally as abhorrent to me. I swear to God on that. And I was having a discussion, and this guy she's trying to explain like how being a conservative was any different than being a libtard or a soy boy, whatever you want to call them. Whatever you want to call them what you want to call them. But a rose by a piece of turd by any other name still smells like a turd to me. And in Mgtow, we seem to have both sides, the left and the right, acting in very very cuckish ways, very, very cuckish. And Mgtow should be able to identify that and say, no, that's not Mgtow. That's not Mgtow either way. But lately it's been terribly skewed, and that's what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about the "if you were like me" fallacy, since philosophy is sort of my thing. And I've seen the "if you were like me" fallacy, and the guy come around, and I'm not going to play a clip. I'm not going to force it because obviously they want to take me down today. So the "if you were like me" fallacy, he was saying, "Oh man, you would make," he says, "MGTOWs, you're just wrong." He says, because you can't tell me that you're not gonna go back and taking a female into your house. You can't tell me you're a monk. Can't tell me you're not like that. And he says, "What are you, as gays?" I was like, oh man, is that you? There's no gray area in the middle of this. It's either you're like him, or there's no area, or you're gay. and I and I went through the whole argument, and he really didn't have an argument. It was like, and it just come down to, if you're not like me, then you're wrong. And that's one of the biggest fallacies I see around. Aaron Clary used to do the "if you were like me" fallacy. If you had all these breaks in life, or if this happened right, or if you were just like me, and that means if you were like me, you can't be like you. You have to be more like me. And I think that's the epitome of narcissism and Mgtow. When you see that, if you were like me, and then you see this idea flow out into when we get the bodybuilders, and they're like, if you were like me, if you were a bodybuilder, then, and we see Chasmine do that, if you were like me, everything would work out in your life. And then you better have those things, those girls that you want, and they'll be just flocking to them. If we shut down all the social programs, all these women would just flock to you. And then I'd have all the needy ones around my house. Like, that's what I want, huh? Is that really what you want? Do you want to shut down all the social programs, and then all the needy ones will flock to your house? You can have all of mine too. Let me tell you, a MGTOW would be like, hey, here it is. Have all mine. Don't want them in my house. Don't want to have to take care of it. Don't want to have to do all that mind work. Don't want someone changing my soaps. No, I don't want that. And that's just a MGTOW point of view. We don't do certain things. We don't bring that chaos into our lives. And there's always this rumination with a lot of these guys that if we do this, this will happen, or if you were more like me, this would be your life. But that's not true, because if you were him, you wouldn't be you. And that's anti-MGTOW. Because what MGTOW is about is discovering a life, discovering things about yourself, discovering how strong you are, how masculine you are, without having to validate yourself through a female presence. Yeah, what do you think of my sign? I just the G still looks kind of retarded, and I don't have enough. I have to get extensions, and then that way I can do it. And I didn't realize I didn't have no extensions, but but it's sort of a collage. It was supposed to be more artsy, but the T is too small, I see, and it's just not right. I'll redo it. I'm gonna work on that and do those things. But today we're talking about the "if you were like me" fallacy. We've seen this with Aaron Clary. It was like, MGTOWs, if you were just like me, you could just be a banker. It's like, I'm not a banker. I'm an electrician. But put all that electrician stuff aside and be like me. Be a money market manager. And we get this a lot. And it's insultive to you. It's insultive to most MGTOWs. I don't know what Mgtow. I don't know what you do in your life or what your special skill is, but I'm sure you don't want to be like me. I'm sure you want to be like you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Being like you, just cultivating that you in you, because everybody in this world wants you to be like them. So you believe everything they believe. So you as a MGTOW do not offend their delicate sensibilities. That's what he's saying. He says it, and that's what this guy was saying. If you guys were more like me, you wouldn't offend my uh, delicate sensibilities, and then I wouldn't have to take this Mgtow. So just be like me. And that's ridiculous. It comes off a lot in Mgtow. You hear it a lot with a lot of the with the detractors. Just be like me. Just you just take like oods and oodles of like steroids and just get like 30-inch arms and just like work out all the time. Don't even go to work. Just work out all the time and then start a YouTube channel for working out. And that'll cure all your problems, Mgtow. And that's a ridiculous statement. I think it's a ridiculous statement. And we get these guys. Eli does this too. If you were just like Eli in the way he thinks, and that's what he's saying. And that's what makes Eli so insulting. It's Coach Eli, and they come and do what I do. And if you were like, and what he's saying is, if you were like me, this Mgtow thing wouldn't be a problem for you. And it's insultive. Hello, guys. Hello, Capone. Hello, Was Blind, and hello, Victor von Frankenstein. I don't think that anybody wants to be like them. No, I don't think that anybody wants. Everybody, what you really want in Mgtow is what we say: cultivate your own garden, because that's the only way you're going to get anywhere in life, and that just makes sense with anything you do in the Mgtow hemisphere. You're cultivating your own garden. You're fertilizing your own garden. You're seeding your own garden. I don't want to work in some other guy's garden. That's going back to it's going back to the matrix, matra, the womb, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going back there. I'm cultivating this because I like me. I really like me. I like me a lot. I like me a lot more. I'd rather talk to myself than most of these people in this world. I swear to God, I'd rather and Dougie too. Dougie the sandwich stealer. He's officially known today. I answered the door, and we're having these political people come around, and that's what started my political rage today. My political rage is at all the parties because I'm eating my sandwich. I got a bite taken out of my sandwich. It's a big fat turkey sandwich about this big. And I'm sitting in front of the TV, and I just got on the couch. I'm going to eat my sandwich and drink a cup of coffee. And the doorbell is like, boom, 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 boom. And as I get to it, it's like a Jehovah Witness. And I'm like, oh, shit. I says, what do you want? And he goes, hey, I'm your local representative for this, and I want you to give me his card. And he's like, and then I hear the dog come out. And after I get done talking to him, I go back to my Ohio State. I have Ohio State. It's a little stand that I use to put my sandwich on because I like eating my sandwich right in the middle of the Ohio State Stadium because it's got a glass top and it looks like a stadium. So my sandwich is gone, and there's Dougie with this look in his eye like, have no idea what happened to your sandwich, Joe. I'm like, oh, man. So he's out there yapping in the rain right now, but I'm so mad at him. He can stay out yapping in the rain because I'm not letting him in until he figures out what happened to my sandwich. And I just didn't want, I didn't want to make a new one. And I'm just really pissed about that. And it's all because I had to get up off my seat, off my lazy ass chair that I like to sit in once in a while in this world and eat my sandwich. But that was my experience when I got home, and that just made me mad. And it makes me mad that living with Doug is like living with a simp. You come home, your beer's gone, your lunch meat is gone. You're like, what happened to my lunch meat? He's like, him and his girlfriend are sitting there, have no idea. It's like, yeah, that's what you want to bring in your house. Like raccoons, like they just eat your lunch meat and then they kick over your garbage cans. Damn. So what were we talking about? We were talking about both ends of the political spectrum. We were talking about the libtards and the conservatives on the other end. And both, there's these huge divide in between this, and there's this gray area in between this where most of us fall. And that's what I was trying to tell this cat that was doing it. If you were just like me, fallacy, and if I was just like you, I'd be you. And I don't want to be you because I want to be me, because I'm a Mgtow. I'm a Mgtow. And the first thing that we say is, I'd like to be more like me than anything else in the world. And that means I have to find myself. I have to do these introspections. I have to look deep down into my wretched soul and see what made me simp back then that got me in all this trouble that I was in. It's looking at yourself. I don't want to be like you, because that's what got me in all my trouble. It was an observation about the world that took me 2 seconds, that if I do this, this is going to happen. And that's pragmaticism. If I do this, this is going to happen. You know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to do this. So I became a Mgtow. I said, I'm not going to bring that into my house anymore. I'm not going to bring that chaos into my house. I like my soap where it's at. I like my sandwich where it's at. But that little guy out there, little things. It's the little things in life that I like the way they are. I like going back to my stand, and there's my sandwich where I left it. I like my boots where I left them. When I walk into the house, I don't like people touching my boots and moving them up. Come into my house, I don't care if you trip over my boots. They're my boots and they belong there. Because when I walk out of the house in the morning, I jump into those boots and there they are, or my keys. It's these little things that'll drive you up a wall. And we see this with these guys. We see this, how angry the blue pill guys, how angry the married, they're like they're clenching their teeth all the time, and they're angry all the time because someone's moving their stuff around. Their keys ain't where it is. The soap ain't the soap that they left at that bar ivory with the pumice in it, so you can wash the grease off your hands after you've been fixing some oily shit all day. That's what men do. Or you're not allowed to use that bathroom. You gotta wash up at the wash tub. How many of you guys have ever had to wash up at the wash tub because you weren't allowed to use your bathroom because they had the little round soaps in there and they smell good? What's this jar of this orange pumice stuff? Well, that's Orange Glow. It's clean. I use it for my freaking hands. But that's the world I live in, because I create that world, because there is some gray area between these things. There is some gray area where I can be a Mgtow in this world, and I'm not bothering nobody. I'm not bothering nobody by being a Mgtow, but I offend his total existence, of these people's total existence, where they have to come on there and say, you know, Joe, you know, Mgtows, if you were just like me, your life wouldn't suck. And I think, you know what? My life doesn't really suck. A matter of fact, I have perfect solitude, where little things like my sandwich disappearing, Doug, really ticks me off. And it really ticks me off. I like my life the way it is. I don't want anybody else's life. I cultivated my life. I seeded, I planted, I sowed that, and I like my life. Any responsibility for anything bad that happens, it's on me. Yeah, females do move stuff, Victor. They do. You have all been through this, where you left your keys, you left your boots by the door, because you know you got to put them on every morning. You left your keys on the kitchen table. That way, when you jump out of the shower and you're shoving a bowl of cereal in your face, trying to get to work at time, I grab my keys, jump into my clothes, jump into my boots. I'm out the door. My day's good, because men are creatures of habit. We do things every day. It's from that inner theater I was talking about earlier this week, I suppose, or last week, that we just do these things naturally. And the more natural these things come to us, the better my life runs. The more my inner brain knows the procedure that goes on in the morning when I'm half asleep. When I'm half asleep and I don't want to talk to nobody, I'm pretty cranky until I get my coffee. Automatically, the coffee maker comes on in the morning. That's the way I like it. But I woke up some mornings and the coffee maker was reset to 8 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock in the morning, and my keys were missing. And I'm starting to go nuts because time is of real important when you got to be at work on time. Now I know there's jobs out there where you don't have to be at work on time, and I envy all those guys. But in the jobs that I work with, they're jobs of responsibility most of the time, where I've got to be responsibility to open the freaking door, turn on the furnaces, make sure the heat's up, start running the freaking steel. The dog never hides, Mike. The dog never hides. He hid my sandwich today, and I'm still looking for my sandwich. If anybody sees my sandwich out there, Dougie says that he doesn't know what happened to my sandwich. Dougie says he doesn't know, and I believe him. Yeah. The dog hid my keys. Yeah. Dougie says it's under the fridge, and I just forgot to look at there. It's in one of my pockets or something. And he pissed me off. But it's been that kind of day today. Sometimes you can wake up and your Mgtow karma is a little off, and it's a little ziggy zaggy, and it's not running right. You got to get it right and run. We wonder what's out of whack in your Mgtow world. Does my spidey senses need to come on here because something's coming? Poor Dougie. It's not poor Dougie. I didn't get my sandwich. It was a turkey. It was this thick. It was nice. It had some Agassi cheese like I like it. It had the mayo on it. It was turkey. It had 2 strips of little bacon on it. It was like cut in half. I made it look beautiful on a plate. I folded it outward so you can see all that delicious innerness of it. And I put it down next to my cup of coffee. He didn't drink my cup of coffee, but he managed to eat that sandwich up. That dog's a little princess. Yeah, he's like a little prince. He never does anything wrong. What does that remind you of? What does that remind you of your life? Yeah. It looked too good. Yeah, that sandwich would have been really nice. And it all because one of these political people come to my door and they wanted to talk about who I was voting for and me to sign a little register of theirs. And I'll sign a register as long as it's cutting my taxes or shutting down some of those buildings down there. And that's what I said. He says, what politically interests you? And I says, you know what really political interests me? That I looked in the paper today, and the budget for our little county with 200,000 people came out, and the budget for my little county here was $28 million. And I was thinking, Jesus, mother, because that comes out of our house taxes. And I was thinking, what could you possibly be doing with I mean, I need a mayor and I need about 20 cops. That's what I need. And then I look around and I said, what really bothers me is that I got 8 city buildings around here, some of them huge. You would think it was Washington. You come to my little town, you go up to that city building, that federal courthouse in this little county, and you would think it was Washington. You look up at that thing and you say, well, someone paid about $30 million to build this thing, and it came out of all our pockets. Now we got that building. We got the 3 police, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 police stations. We have 8 city buildings. We have 8 community buildings. We have several buildings for snow plowing and all that stuff. And I'm paying for it all. And what we really need is one building. That's what I want. I want one building, and I want you all to get along inside that building. And I want you to cut my taxes back. And that's what I told them. But why I'm talking to this guy, somebody, I don't know who it was. It was probably, I don't know who's the enemy. It was probably one of my enemies snuck into my house and stole my sandwich. No, couldn't have been Doug. He said he didn't do it. He was sitting there with that just F the neighbor's cat look on his face. And my sandwich was gone. Now, here's something in life. It's easy. It would be easy for me to say, oh, Doug, the little princess didn't do it. The little prince didn't do it. It would be easy for me to say that it could have been, it wasn't me, and my sandwich is not in my pockets. So it must have been something came into my house and it stole my sandwich. So now we got to call 911 since somebody came into my house and stole my sandwich. Now I need an enemy. Maybe it was a crackhead. Maybe it was one of those Mexicans. Maybe it was a feminist. When the obvious, a raccoon. Armed squirrels. Armed squirrels. It must have been armed squirrels that came into my house and stole my sandwich. I could draw up a lot of things. Was it a chupacabra? It was a Yeti. Bigfoot came into my house and stole my sandwich because it wasn't me and it's not in my pocket. So we see these things play out in the internet because we all have to have an enemy. We all have to have an enemy. He's going nuts. You hear him out there? He's like really going nuts. It's like, that's your punishment for not stealing my sandwich. Because he didn't. Obviously, he said he didn't. The sandwich ghost, yeah. It must have been a Cooper Chabra. It must have been an aphorism. Or it must have been something. Aliens. I'm thinking aliens at this point came into my house. They knocked me out momentarily. They dissected my sandwich. They put a probe inside of it, and then they took it. Must have been aliens. It must have been Yetis, Bigfoots, aliens. It dropped down into Mel's hole. It was a feminist. It was those libtards over there. It was those conservatives over there. Someone stole my sandwich. And I can go a lot of places with this. But the truth of the matter is I didn't eat it. And there's only one person in this house, and he's sitting outside in the rain right now wondering what had happened. Now we take that and we got ourselves a Mgtow lesson about why we don't bring these things into our houses. The fifth dimension. Maybe my sandwich fell into the fifth dimension. I'll be searching for that sandwich for the rest of the day. Affirmations, ghosts, libtards, Republicans. They were in my house stealing sandwiches. Now it's probably looking at the budget that came out in my neighborhood for $28 million, and they're going to need to steal some sandwiches. They're going to need to take some money out of little kids' mouths, and so it's probably good that we cut all the social programs. And here's how stupid this is. This is how stupid these people are. It's good that we cut all the social programs. All the little kids will be hungry, but we'll have a freaking city. So we'll have 8 city centers, Goliath buildings that we can look at and they can enjoy. Because if I was like them, that's what they'll tell me. If you were like me, you would be in one of these buildings enjoying the lighter than air work. And that's why we need 8 city buildings in this little town that I live with that doesn't have a steel mill no more. And every one of these people that reside in those big Goliath buildings have been telling us for 20 years now that when they get in those big buildings, they were going to open up the steel mill. They were going to somehow magically make people come back. Trump was through. Hillary Clinton was through last year. Both of them equally said, Joe. And I said, yeah. And they said, we're going to open up the steel mill. You're going to be so happy if you give me your vote. And then we look down at Lordstown, Ohio, where 14,000 people just got laid off because somebody promised them a few years ago that if you vote for me, there'll be no layoff, and we'll force GM, and we'll give GM a tax rebate. And they gave GM a tax rebate. And GM rebought some investment in themselves. And in this very week, they laid off them 14,000 people. 14,000 people. Now, that happens every day in America. There's 14,000 people, and there was 30,000 people up here working. And this steel mill is, you should see the size of it. There's plenty of steel mills closed in Pittsburgh. Ford closed up here, and they said, "Oh, we'll bring Ford back. You guys are going to be so happy if you just vote for me." And that's not happening. But they got 8 big buildings that are costing us $28 million a year here to operate, and their pay, and we need one. And we need one. Now, I would think that, like, now the sandwich, now logically, we have to start asking questions. One of those political people came to my door. I had a sandwich. They said, "What is your interest?" And I says, "Reduce the taxes," because I just looked in the paper today and it's an outrageous sum you're running your city on, because we don't need 8 buildings. We don't need all you people working for lighter than air, juggling them jobs. And then I closed the door and my sandwich was gone. Why would I think? I felt so bad because I blamed that on Dougie. But really, it was some Koopa Chabra from the fucking state that came and ate my fucking sandwich. Now I see how clear it is. And that's how wacky things get on the internet sometimes. It's absurdity. I know where the sandwich went. I know who's stealing from me. I know who wants to take my house. I know we got social programs, but I don't want to see the kids starving on the street so some guy can have his mother, because that split V is more important to him than the kids. Just starve them out. That's what they're saying. Shut down all these social programs. Coxivitism will work, and then I'll get all the P I need. That split V. That's what they're saying. The girls will come back. It'll kill feminism. No, it won't. No, it won't. That's an idiotic idea of a zombie apocalypse. If we just had a zombie apocalypse, man, I'd be so, because I'm the only one that's going to win. Because if you guys were just like me, you'd have a sandwich right now too. That's what they're telling me. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're the mom effer that stole my sandwich, because it wasn't Doug. Usually most people get robbed I get robbed every day. I'm wondering who did it. I don't need to make up enemies in my life. I don't need to draw up dragons, because the enemies are right at your door most of the time. And most of the time, you got the enemy living with you, and you all know what I'm talking about. Most of these blue pill guys got the enemy living with them. And if you're wondering where your lunch meat went, well, thinking maybe she ate it. I'm thinking maybe she used your soap. I'm thinking maybe she moved your keys. I'm thinking maybe your boots aren't where they were because she moved your boots. And I'm thinking if you got 2 or 3 of those and you're juggling plates, I'm thinking a lot more is happening to you. And it's not that I want to be like you. You wish you were like me. And that's what I was thinking about today while I was talking to the young man that was telling me that if I was just like him, everything would be okay in my life. Short of a sandwich stealing problem that I have going on around here that I will get to the bottom of as soon as I figure out where I put that sandwich. Because the only way to do this, either I got to make myself a new one, or I got to take fault for that. I put it way too far down where that little son of a bitch can took it. He took it. It's not a chupacabra that came in. I wish it was, because I've never seen one before. It wasn't an alien that ass raped my sandwich and did a probe on it. But a lot of times we get some silly absurdities around here. And sometimes I just like to go with the absurdity in life, because that seems to be the way everybody else out there lives. There's a lot of absurdity going on. You get a little pragmatism in your life and you start listening to a little Marcus and start reading a few books, and then you start looking out at this thing and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. But you got to keep your cool about this because you can take this thing long way. You used to come over. It took care of my mother for years. When I first started coming over, she'd start and go a little zingy, and she used to watch all these. She's like those cop shows with the female. What do you call those? The New York detective lady she's gonna take all the rape out of the world and everything. Crime scene rape shows. And after a while, I come over and I brought her like a sandwich that I bought up at the inn, and I brought her like something to eat and everything. And I was like, "Hey, Mom, how you doing?" And she's like, got peeking out the window. She's watching too many shows on the TV, a crime scene investigation. And she says, "I think there's rapists out there." And I had to explain to her that there were no rapists out there, and most likely the only people that are going to harm you if you let people in here. And just be careful. And they're not always going to bring you a sandwich. Wish someone would bring me a sandwich because I'm pretty depressed about mine. But hey, man, no one ever brought me a sandwich in this world, and that's because I'm a disposable male and I'm the sandwich bearer. And I'm sick of being the sandwich bearer for some little. Yeah, you, Doug. I'm sick of being a sandwich bearer. I'm sick of losing my sandwich. And that's what this thing's about, Mgtow. Real body evidence exists. It's YouTube. Yeah, I know. You get all sorts of. We got flat earthers, and some of them really believe that the flat earth is the earth is flat. Since it's pretty flat here, it must be pretty flat all over the place. and we got people that believe in all sorts of things, and you got to start wondering. You just got to start putting yourself in a more pragmatic. What is real? What is not real? What is that thing? That stuff that they were talking about? And I know what happened to my sandwich. A hungry little dog ran up, and it's not that he was hungry, because I just gave him a half a can of that. I've been buying that Pro One stuff. It's $1.78 a can. $1.78 a can, and that's on sale because it's usually $2.30, and I got a deal from Amazon because I'm an avid Amazon shopper, because it's like freaking Christmas when I come home and there's a package there and I get to open it, because I'm a dad and I never got a real Christmas because someone took my kids. See how I wove that shit together? So I have to put together my own little Christmases. So I bought him those expensive little packs of the Purina Pro One. Go to the dog food store, you'll see. And he likes them. And I just fed him one, but he thought my sandwich was his sandwich. And that's what I've been getting all my life. Everybody else thinks my sandwich is their sandwich. And they just got to figure out a way where I leave it unattended, or they got to figure out a way to steal it. And that's the real travesty around here. And that's the real travesty with most of the people in here. Oh, you guys are just sandwich providers for the rest of the world. And just once, I would just like to sit down and actually get to eat my whole sandwich. What I earned, what I made in this life, just once in this life. And it's been a long life of losing over and over, because some political guy came to the door and they knocked on a lot of my doors in my life. Like I said, I was one of the original victims of Enron, and there seemed to be two. There was an Enron for me, and then there was a first crash, and then there was a second housing market crash. And luckily, I pulled all my money out of that stuff. Not that there was much left after 30 years of working. And if a man in this country is working for 30 years, he should have something. He should have something left at the end of that. At least he should have a freaking sandwich. Don't you think I deserve a sandwich after 30 years on the farm? But a chupacabra snuck in my house and stole my sandwich today, and that's all I can say. And they want to steal a lot of things. They want to steal my house if they can get it. Hear him out there? He's experienced his punishment for something he didn't do. I'm such an unfair person. He's outside in the rain. And he's going nuts. He's like a cat. He gets a little wet and he's like, oh man, that sucked. It's lucky I don't throw him in the tub because he stinks now. You know, he rather smells like a turkey and bacon sandwich, and I don't know why that is. But I see this with a lot of guys that come through. There's the, if you were like me, Mgtow, you would be happy. Just go out and get it. Pluck some of those things, those low-hanging fruit, you know, some rhino unicornuses. There's herds of them out there. Rhino unicornuses, they're grazing in your neighborhood. If you just were like me, you would have no dignity and you would take a few of those. That's what they're telling you. It bothers me. Anti-logic and absurdity just kind of kills me. All because I want to eat at least a full sandwich one day in my life. I want to eat a full fucking sandwich. Wouldn't it be nice if you can have a sandwich where you weren't paying for some shelter over there, or some big city building over there, or some guy sitting up there pretending like he's playing mayor and he needs to make $200,000 a year for shuffling papers around his desk and saying, I'm the mayor. I think after 200 and some years in this country that we pretty much got a system that works, and the only thing that's happening now is they're screwing it up. That was one of my things with the Cleveland Browns. Every time the Cleveland Browns decided to get a new coach after Plummer, they're 8-7 or something like that, and they're like, that's not good enough. I says, don't fix something that's not broke. And then they brought in the next guy, and we went 2-14 the next year. I says, don't fix something it's not broke. And then this year they had Williams, and they ran and they stumbled. Even a blind squirrel gets a nut some days, and the Cleveland Browns are about as blind squirrel as you can get. They stumbled upon something with Freddie Kitchens and Greg Williams that started working with Baker Mayfield. And he's freaking Baker Mayfield. So what do? Yeah, they fixed something that wasn't broke. Never fix something. That's what I think about the government now. The government's like the Cleveland Browns of all governments. They keep fixing something that wasn't never broke to begin with. And the only person that pays is my sandwich taxes keep going up. And I don't want to pay for all this stuff. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm finished. My back's broke. My legs are sore. I can hardly walk anymore. And I got old. And I spent 40 years in this damn country working so I can look back and say, I don't have anything left. Hopefully, I'll get Social Security. And then I got some millennial kid saying, you boomers don't deserve it. And I'm thinking, oh, man. Oh, man. If you could be in my shoes. Because we got sandwich thieves. And that's the only thing I can think about right now because I'm hungry and I want my freaking sandwich. But I think it was aliens. They came in and they probed my sandwich. And it's gone. And I know it's gone because I checked my pockets. Because it couldn't have been the little prince. It couldn't have been the princess. All those princesses, man, they wouldn't do that to us, would they? Wow, I think you know what I'm talking about. All those princesses would never do that to us, would they? Yeah, I think they would. So this was Joe's Unhinged podcast today. We're still searching for the sandwich. And if somebody wants, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring Dougie inside with his incredible sniffer. He may be able to help me find my sandwich. And this reminds me of a story I had. Some things are like little, you invite the government and they're like little crackheads. You know what they say about crackheads? A crackhead will steal your wallet and stick around to try to help you find it. Now, every time I get one of these jackwads coming to my door, I think about my weed whacker that was sitting up against my garage one day, and my mother had this woman that was coming over trying to bum money from her. She put the weed whacker in her trunk and she said, "I'm protecting this from you so nobody steals it." And then she stole it. And I liked my weed whacker. It was one of those, what was that weed whacker? That was one of those Craftsman ones, the yellow ones with the 2.3 motor on it, or whatever size that was. And it was the big one because I checked the motor size. I liked that one. So I had to go buy one from Home Depot, and it was the Home Depot brand, and it ain't never worked right. And I know I know where it went, but I just can't get it back. And that's like life. I know where my sandwich went, and I know where my taxes are going. It's not like I can do anything about it. We tried to do Mgtow, but everybody thinks it's about something different. So what are us men going to do if we want to eventually be able to eat our sandwiches? That's up to each and every one of you guys. Zoom, Joey, Joe Buddy, Mgtow Threads. Thanks a lot for coming around, and thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Well, except for Joe Buddy, he's not Mgtow. He tells me that all the time. I might want to look outside, Joey, and see if it's buried outside. Yeah, that's what I might want to do. I'll find it, or I'm generally probably going to have to make another one. But that's what I'm pissed about. After I lost everything in the divorce, I had to rebuy every one of those tools. I had to rebuy a computer. And every time I did that, I was sitting there at the store one day buying, matter of fact, I got them right here, buying a new pair of diagonal clippers so I can clip a 2-aught wire and and crimp it. And I didn't have it because I had divorce raped, and I knew I had bought it, but somebody else owned it, and nobody can explain why somebody else owned it at this point, because I lost all my tools and I lost my car and I couldn't understand why I can't eat my sandwich, because I'd never been able to eat my sandwich. It's always been that way for men because we're disposable. I don't like these clippers. I rather like the other pair. There's a German pair that I really liked a lot, but I couldn't afford them because they were like $32 at the time. And I was like, oh man, I need a crimper and I need a cutter. So I had to buy these. I have like 3 pairs of these. These are a dime a dozen. I like these ones. These are great. But what else do I got here? These ones are for shit. But I know I had bought all that stuff once before in my life, and why I didn't own it again and why I don't own my sandwich is always a big question. And I know you guys have them questions on your mind because every one of you has gone through this before in your life. Why I gotta rebuy this stuff? Why I gotta hold up the economy? Why what happened to all my shit? Being disposable sucks, and that means everything you got is disposable and at their will, and you don't own nothing. And that's what I'm sick of in this country. Because you can go from one end to the next end, 18 to 80, end up at the end and not have nothing. If you keep going down that line, making those same mistakes again. Trying not to do these in my late date, but today, something snuck into my house and stole my sandwich. And I can't figure out where it's at. And it just reminds me of all those times where I got my sandwiches and my tools and my cars and my house and my bank accounts and my 401s just disappeared. And that's life in America. I'm going to make this short, and you guys have a great day because I got to go make a sandwich. So how do you go about fixing this thing? Well, it's on me. It's always on me because I'm the only one that's going to do this. I got to go get the bread out. I got to go find some turkey, fry myself up 2 pieces of bacon. I got some Gouda cheese in there and remake that sandwich. And this time, keep it on the stove where somebody can't get to it with my eyes right on it. So no aliens and no Chabras and no Democrats and no Republicans and the mayor himself cannot sneak in my house once again and steal my freaking sandwich. And that's on me. I got to make sure that doesn't happen. And you know what that sounds like a lot to me? That sounds a lot like Mgtow, making sure that shit doesn't happen again. And thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, each and every one of you, for coming around and being Mgtow, or else I'd be just one lonely boat floating around bitching about where's my sandwich. That would be no fun. That sea out there is a rocky place. A lot of waves. Some days are going to be good and some days are going to be real bad. And sometimes it's the little things that start irritating you because they remind you of all those other little irritating things that you've, as a disposable male, have had to take in your life for so long. And I can't take one more cut out of those 100,000 cuts. It's death by 100,000 cuts. So I can't take one more of them. And I'm done. And that's why I became Mgtow. So thanks a lot. And I know it's harsh sometimes, but I just don't need that. And I don't need someone coming around telling me, if you were just like me, Joe. I don't want to be like you. I want to be like me, and I want to eat my sandwich once. And that's about it. I got to go get him in. I got to wipe him off, smell his breath, because I know it smells like turkey and bacon. And that's it for today, guys. Yeah, I hope you're having a great day. At least I hope you're having a better day than I had. Thanks a lot. You guys take care, and thanks for being Mgtow. Mgtows.